Hi, my name is Annette Lawler, founder Lion People Global. Welcome to the next instalment on our Ask the Expert style of interviews on the topic of mergers and acquisitions for the localization industry. Today we're recording live at the ATC, and as always we have our resident expert Olga Blasco, and we're joined today by Susanne Eifler. Susanne has started and founded her own translation agency, and she's going to share with us some of our insights in the localization industry on the topic of mergers and acquisitions. Susanne, welcome to the conversation today. Susanne, before I hand you over to Olga, perhaps you can share with us how you got started in this industry and some of the changes maybe that you've observed over the years from when you started to where we are today, in particular in relation to the topic of mergers and acquisitions.
Yeah. We have started to hire straight away to build up an internal team. So to grow organically, that's what I've always done over the time. We then did not work with freelancers a lot because of quality issues. They weren't good enough. But now we've opened up again to freelancers and to LSPs we want to work with. And right now, because of this opening up and looking at other markets, looking at other languages other than German, English, German, that we mostly do, we find ourselves looking at other partners. Can we form a group? Can we maybe merge with somebody else, or do something? On the other hand, what I have noticed, and not only on the market, we're talking to peers, but also we got approached by really big institutions and big banks asking us for our very, very special expertise in German. Mm-hmm. So going back to this single language vendor identity, we don't even have anymore. Okay. Yeah, saying, oh, of course there are so many translation companies in this world, but what we need as a huge international institution is exactly you, small vendor. Yeah. And of course that makes me reflect my whole situation and this path going forward to become a bigger sort of company and to provide the market with other solutions than this single language.
Thank you very much for sharing. Now I'm going to hand you over to Olga. If you have any questions that you would like to ask Olga on this topic, please feel free.
Yeah, Olga. So what then comes up is the question of valuation of a company.
Right.
So there I know, well, me being a financial translator from the beginning, right. I know all about this valuation stuff, and then you really can do whatever you want. But what would you say, how could you evaluate a company that probably is not very strong on sales, on the actual numbers, but has a lot of potential to give to somebody else?
So this is an interesting topic because we know that the formula for valuation is times EBITDA or times revenue, and this is in the localization industry and also outside of the localization industry. And then on top of that, like whatever goodwill the buyer wants to put. But the value drivers, I mean, I think it depends. It's like beauty; it's in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can basically really believe that your company has potential, but somebody who wants to kind of contemplate to merge or with you or buy you, they will be looking at your numbers, but also look at the potential. Or somebody advising them should advise them to have a look at that, because a company may have invested a lot in technology, say. And because of that investment, the profit will have dropped, obviously, because you're investing in the future for the company to take off. You have to be able to see that if a company has, for example, a very strong client portfolio, very strong client retention, and they have invested a lot, say, in personnel, and they have invested a lot in technology in order to take off, you look at the net profit for this year, and it might be not great, but it has the potential to double, in the following year or two. So if you are a buyer, you have to be looking at that. Otherwise, you are not looking at the entire picture. So, I mean, my advice for whoever is buying a company is to really pay attention to these things. If the company is not profitable because it has been not properly managed, or maybe some money has been wasted, or it hasn't been restructured in time, that will come out in the due diligence, and obviously some really tough questions will be asked, and perhaps they will still be interested if the client portfolio, for example, is really good, but they might be pushing down on the price.
Of course.
So, in my experience, we need to be able to put everything on the table that is very clear, both on the buyer side and on the seller side, and the value drivers can be perceived differently. So that's where somebody like me might be driving the attention to the value drivers that, in my opinion, need to be part of the equation.
Yeah, interesting, because that's exactly the question that came up inside of me. Wouldn't you be the person to ask for, to companies such a procedure, just to say, look, but you have this and this and this and that, and you could advise me on how to really bring it down on paper.
Exactly.
And tell them, look, but she has this and this and that.
How to tell a good story as well. I mean, because you tell the story by numbers, and numbers are extremely important. I mean, I don't want to kid anybody and say, no. I mean, numbers are it's the first thing that comes up. It's like, show me your numbers. Show me your 12 months trailing. Show me whatever you've got in terms of financial performance. But I would be also, looking at the company as a whole, like the culture of the company, the client portfolio, the customer concentration, whether you have this kind of like go-to person in whatever sector that you're in, because I mean, if you have that kind of reputation and your brand is so good, whoever buys your brand has value as well.
Sure. Yeah.
So like these are the kind of things that I tend to look at apart from the numbers that build the story and build the narrative. So if you want to sell your company, you have to put forward the best thing, and it has to be true as well. I mean, it has to stand the test of questions and the test of research, because even if you progress, to let's talk about a deal, during due diligence, if you have hidden something, it will come out. So, you have to be able to build a narrative that is good, but also that tells something more about the numbers, that tells about your potential and tells about your brand value and why your expertise is something to be basically coveted.
But doesn't it all also come down to people? Well, we are in people's business.
Yeah.
Of course, we all know there's a lot of technology involved nowadays, and we all have to invest a lot into technology to be able to be here in 5 years' time. But still, it is the person who runs the business and the team that is behind this person.
And
don't you think?
Ideally, yes. I mean, but there's different perceptions on that too. Like some people, some buyers, like they look at companies like, I'm getting all of that. I mean, and if the owner needs to stay in order to secure it for a very long time, means that it's too dependent on that person. So there is an element of risk that can even affect the valuation. But if the owner is kind of saying, look, my company is strong, it can survive without me, but I want to stay because I want to go with you and take it to the next level, that's attractive. For some buyers, it will say, okay, I'm benefiting from your expertise, but on top of that, you are bringing the driving force behind to grow this company and take it to the next level. And that is attractive, but it's like some buyers will place a lot of importance on being able to bring that expertise forward and kind of make the team stronger. And others, they will say, well, I just want you to manage the risk with me, but after that, it's okay if you go.
Yeah, it all depends on the structuring, though.
Yeah. If it's purely based on a financial interest, it's gonna come out at some point or other that there are differences in like the strategic vision and differences in approaches to things, etc. So there has to be some kind of chemistry and compatibility, and I think that people don't talk enough about that. And I think in your case, because I know you, I know that that's it's important, to be able to work in a team where you feel like you're part of the team and you feel that you're gelling. as a team. But of course, when it comes to the structure, and if we're talking about the legal stuff, if you have a good team of lawyers, you can do whatever you want. I mean, you can reach whatever kind of agreement, you can structure the deal in whichever way that you want, and you need to feel comfortable with that, because otherwise you will not put the signature on the dotted line.
Yeah.
So it's important that you feel confident and there is no hesitation then, and that you even talk about the future. It's like, okay, so if we are dividing equity like this way from now on, do we want to review that later? What do we want to do with this? And even ask straight, I mean, are you in it for the long ride, or
absolutely.
do you want to get out? Because I mean, do you want to give me the option later to kind of get your equity?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, sometimes it might not be interesting to stay for 5 years, even though the company would have grown.
Yeah.
In my case, I would like to work. I still have some years to work in my life, and it would be interesting for me to grow a company in a short term and then sell everything and go play golf, which I'm not able to do. But anyway, so yeah.
Or even agree on, I think an important point that people don't talk enough about as well is, what if the person you're merging with, or your buyer, they want to involve investors and you don't want that?
Absolutely.
Because involving investors changes your life as a company.
I would never do this.
So basically, I always, when people say, well, I mean, I have I can get a good deal with my bank, but also I'm considering investors in the equation. I always say to people, think about it, because the minute you bring them in, your life changes forever. I mean, you're no longer, in the driving seats. You can pretend to the world that you are, but in reality, you're not. I mean, and this is, it can actually, involving investors can propel you to the stratosphere. I mean, it can help you make a quantum leap that you wouldn't be able to do without them. But it brings also changes in dynamic in the company and among the managing partners. So it's something to think about very seriously.
I think it's something rather for people who have the dollar signs in their eyes. Yeah, if you want to make money, maybe it is a path to consider.
Yeah.
But if you want to have a company that motivates you and where you feel, wow, this is my thing and I want to go on working, then probably it's not the right way. So in my case, I would not like to work with private equity next to me, because I think it could be quite hard.
And that's fine.
Thank you, ladies, for joining us today. Thank you for sharing your insights with us. It's a fascinating topic. It's a fascinating industry. We're all excited to be here and excited to join in this conversation. Hopefully you are too. If you are, please like, share and tweet. Please join us with some comments, suggestions. You've been watching M&A Talks from myself, Annette Lawler, and our expert Olga Blasco. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you sometime in the future at a conference somewhere around the world.